In the first example, we have an isometric H, and we have to convert it into 3 orthographic projection views. The first one is the front. Anything that we see from the front is shaded in blue. Then we have the end, which is anything that we see from the side of our shape. In fact, they are shaded in green to help us. And then we have the plan, which is anything that we see from the top of our block. And they are shaded in red just to help us a little bit. So let's start by drawing the front view. And from the front, which is anything that we see in this direction, I can already tell that I'm going to see an H symbol. And to help you visualize a little bit more, this is how the solid block should look like from the front view. Now, to help us start, we have some starter lines. These represent these 2 base lines located here on the H. Now we are going to start drawing from this point right here. Now to know the length of each line, we have to count the squares as I'm doing right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how many squares I've counted on the isometric view. And then I just draw a line. Now please make sure that each line is as light as possible. So if you make any mistakes, they will be easy to erase. Now let's continue. 1 square horizontally to the right. 2 squares going down. 1, 2. Right there, keep those lines as light as possible. 2 more lines to the right. And you continue using the same method. Now here I'm just going to simply connect these 2 points together. You can continue with the same method as before. 1 square to the left, that's already done for us. 2 squares up, 2 squares to the left, and the final 2 squares down. You can just connect those. And then there you have our front. Now let's continue with our end elevation. And the end is anything that you see from this direction. And the areas visible from the end elevation are shaded in green. Now, to help you visualize a little bit more, this is how the end elevation is going to look. Now to find the height of the end elevation, we could simply just project the topmost lines from the front elevation onto the end. This is because they are the same height, because we're working with the same solid block. As we can see from the example above, all the horizontal lines seen from the front elevation are projected onto the end elevation. Let's continue to our example. And let's project each horizontal line that we see on the front elevation onto our end. And here I am also going to project these 2 midlines here onto our end, even though they're not going to be visible in our end elevation. So let's continue by drawing these vertical lines over here and then the top horizontal line. Now the end seems finished, however it has some missing information in the middle. Even though I can't see those two lines in the middle right there, I still have to show them somehow on the end. This is so the end wouldn't look like it is showing a solid block, because it isn't after all. And we show those two lines by drawing hidden lines. And we draw hidden lines by drawing a broken line. Make sure that the two lines look equal to each other. Now onto the plan elevation. And on the plan, we have to draw whatever we see from the top view of our solid block. We see this square, this rectangle, and the other square. Now to help you visualize once more, this is how the plan should look like on our orthographic projection drawing of this H. On our textbook, as you can see, we have the starter line, which represents these three lines on our isometric view. Now here I'm not going to count. I'm simply going to project all of the vertical lines that I can see from the top of my front view onto my plan. Now let's start with that. On the front view, I could easily take the width of my plan as well, by projecting those same vertical lines. Now here I'm also going to project those inner mid-vertical lines to show that there's that U shape in my H. Now it's time to draw the width of our plan. Now I can take that from the isometric view. However, I finished my end elevation, which has the width of the entire shape basically. And I can simply project the width of the end by using this projection line, that 45-degree line over there. I'll project those lines from the end and then reflect them onto my plan, as I'm showing you here. So let's do that. Let's project those lines onto the projection line as lightly as possible, because we don't want them to be part of our answer. Then from the projection line, project those lines onto the plan. Now all that's left for me to do is to darken the outlines of each view. This is so the final answer, or the final orthographic projection drawing of this H, could be more visible to the viewer. Now I'm going to draw each view in the assigned colors that we see on the isometric view. As we see, the front is colored in light blue, all of it. The end is green. Now be careful when drawing the end. Be careful not to smudge the hidden lines. We want those hidden lines to be visible. And finally, we have to draw our plan, which is, as we can see on the isometric, is in red. And then we're done.